Maximum Espresso here with my weighted Jungle Cup tournament results. In round 1 here, I start off the tournament right with a good lead, Scizor versus Venusaur. My opponent decides to stay in, so I'm going to fire off a couple Scizors here while tanking that charge move. Now this tournament was the day that Niantic released the new charge move mechanic, so not all of my mini-game performances are going to be stellar. They probably thought I was going for the Scizor there, but you can see Iron Head does great damage on the Golem. He gets finished off with the Vigoroth, and Vigoroth versus Vigoroth isn't an ideal matchup, but at this point in time we do have the game in the bag with 2 shields to 0. So I bring in my Lanturn here to finish the Vigoroth off with Water Guns, and that takes game 1 of round 1. Here in the second matchup of round 1, we get another solid lead, my Vigoroth into their Golem. They force a shield on me with that Rock Blast, but then I decide to switch out and finish that Golem off with my Lanturn. They correctly bring in Venusaur, but I was able to farm up enough that I can get this Thunderbolt off, and that gets a shield out of them, which is really all I wanted. So here I'll let my Lanturn go, but my opponent decides to Sludge Bomb instead of Frenzy Plant, so I can get off a second Thunderbolt here, which almost takes that Venusaur out. Again, Scizor can tank charge moves from Venusaur with little issue. Farm up some energy for the next Pokemon. It's Vigoroth again in the back. Here she shields my Scizor, but I'm able to get off one more after I tank this Sludge Bomb from the Vigoroth, and that will complete round 1 of my tournament. Round 2, game 1, I open Scizor again, and my opponent opens Venusaur again. So, nice and favorable for me here against Team Debacle. He switches into Noctowl, who does pretty well against my little bug, but I'm able to get off an unshielded Iron Head there, which as you can see again does pretty impressive damage when it's neutral. Here I'm just going to farm the Noctowl up with some Water Guns, absorbing 2 charge attacks from the Noctowl. So I'm running low, but I've got a Thunderbolt ready to go. Again, they bring their Venusaur in versus my Lanturn. I get 1 Thunderbolt off, and then I'm going to let this Lanturn go. Bring Scizor back in. He takes a Sludge Bomb from the Venusaur, and then returns fire with an Scizor. Now Magnezone, definitely an annoying Pokemon for Scizor, but with a bit of energy momentum here, I'm able to get off 2 small charge moves to chip away at this fragile Pokemon and force my opponent's last shield, so that Vigoroth can come in, use a shield, and counter down this Magnezone for the win. Now here in game 2, I have my first bad lead of the tournament. My Vigoroth into their Beedrill, so I'm farming up some energy, and I opt to shield against this Beedrill's charge attack, bail out into my Scizor. Again, building up some energy, he pulls Beedrill out. Now here's Scizor versus Magnezone again, but unfortunately the difference here is I can't get that second Scizor off. He gets the Wild Charge off, finishes my Scizor, so I bring Vigoroth back in, and thankfully I'm able to finish it off before I can get off any more charge moves, and now I've got a ton of energy on the Vigoroth. I unload 1 Body Slam on the Beedrill, and then a second one right away. Try to switch out into the Lanturn there, but he did have his charge move set up, so I used my last shield, switch into Lanturn, He's just going to be able to tank these charge attacks from Vigoroth better than the Vigoroth. There's Venusaur again. Get off my Thunderbolt. Gets Venusaur down below half. And here he feels pressure that I might get off one more Thunderbolt, which is fair, so he wastes some energy there. But he has enough for a second one, just ahead of my Body Slam. So I do lose game 2 there in round 2. Alright, tiebreaker for round 2, we open with a Noctowl mirror match. And you'll see here my opponent makes the mistake of going for Nightshade instead of Sky Attack. And that pretty much guarantees that I'm going to win this mirror, which will give me switch advantage. So I fire off back-to-back Sky Attacks there. He shields the second one. I bail into Vigoroth. I'm still going to need to shield the Sky Attack, but now I can farm his bird down with some counters. And I like Vigoroth when he has a lot of energy momentum. So he brings in Venusaur, but as you'll see here, Venusaur is not that great against Vigoroth when I have an energy deficit. So I spam 2 Body Slams back to back here, force his last shield, and I'm actually able to get off a third before he can get his Frenzy Plant off. So wasted his shield and a Venusaur, and then I get off a 4th Body Slam in a row against the opposing Vigoroth. He's finally able to take mine down with the Body Slam, so I just bring Noctowl back in, soak up one more Body Slam, and then finish him down with Sky Attacks. So in round 3, I did forget to record the first matchup. So this is the second fight in round 3 against Matt B. I did win the first one. So you can see he opened with a fort against my Vigoroth. That's decently favorable for me. He builds up some energy, bails out into his Noctowl. Still favorable for me, but I switch out to my Noctowl after saving up some energy myself, just to absorb that Sky Attack a little better. He's going to get off a second Sky Attack. I'm not going to shield this. I know I can get to one more here. And he does opt to use a shield there, so that's awesome. And then he thinks he can farm me down. Risky move. I'm able to get off one more Sky Attack and actually finish his Noctowl off, so that shield was a bit of a waste, which does give me an advantage. Force charging up more energy. Vigoroth comes in. I'm ready for some slam spam. I get one off, and then he builds his fort out again into his own Vigoroth, but I've got another slam ready to go. Force his last shield, and now I can bring in Victreebel to do a little farming. It will require one shield because Vigoroth can always get 2 slams off against Victreebel, but Razor Leaf will take care of the rest. Neither of my attacks are going to do too much damage here against Fort, but go for it anyway. Get him nice and low. And with his shield still up, all that energy he saved with his fort, just going to get absorbed by that shield, and a couple counters will finish off game 2 and round 3. So here we're up against Jay Thirsty, a fellow challenger, for the final round of our Jungle Cup. He gets the lead on me here with his Vigoroth against my Noctowl, but my main goal here is to get him to burn a shield, and I do get that early shield on the Sky Attack. Second charge move here coming from his Vigoroth, and I get off one more Sky Attack. So I lose the lead, but I'm up a shield, and I can work with that. I bring in Lanturn in case he gets off a charge attack. I can absorb it nice and easy, but he interestingly bailed out into Noctowl, and I was expecting Venusaur, so I blind switched there into my Vigoroth. Not the worst matchup, but I did put myself at a disadvantage in the match overall. Staying in against Noctowl switch locked with my Lanturn would have probably guaranteed me the match there. I'm not sure if that was a mistake by my opponent, but certainly a mistake by me. And he made another nice move there to seal the win by bringing his Vigoroth in to absorb a Body Slam. I should have, again, waited both of those times to see what he was bringing in. It cost me twice in one matchup, and unfortunately that created too much of an uphill battle for me. I had the Body Slam right there, but he gets to his move first and wins the first game of the final round. So here in game 2, I felt like if I didn't make those same mistakes, that my same lineup could win, and we actually get a slightly better lead here with a mirror instead of a disadvantage. So we're playing Noctowl versus Noctowl. I'm able to get to the second Sky Attack first. That's going to force him to either shield or lose the lead. Again, I bail out into my Vigoroth. I match that shield usage, and then I farm his bird down with some counters, so I've got lots of energy for who's ever coming in next, which is Venusaur. And again, one-on-one, all things being equal, Venusaur definitely beats Vigoroth, but with this slight energy advantage, Vigoroth can really take that matchup over. In the end, I let my Vigoroth go because I've still got a Noctowl. He switches into his Vigoroth, and just in time for that Body Slam absorption comes my Lanturn. That was actually Brick Break. And now here I don't have to use any shields on Lanturn. I'm going to be able to get this Thunderbolt off, and he has no shields, so the Thunderbolt will finish off his Vigoroth. He's got a Venusaur in the back, it's a bit charged up, but thankfully I still have my shield. Could probably fast attack him down, but just to be safe, find him pretty fast, I finish him off with the Sky Attack. And here, final game of the final round of my Jungle Cup. Quite fitting that we open up with a Vigoroth mirror match. My first one of this tournament, actually. Pretty equal here. He goes charge, I go charge. He's able to get his off first. I decide to double down on my shields. I really want to win the lead here. And he decides to match me. So we got a simultaneous KO with counters there. But he decides to bring in his Pokemon first, which was Venusaur, so I bring in Noctowl, and he matches with his Noctowl as well. Now here, I'm very happy to just negate this battle, and so is he, because he probably assumes that I've still got my Lanturn in the back, like the first 2 games. In truth, I've got a Scizor, but in the end you can see that it doesn't quite matter here because my Noctowl is able to win that matchup and outrace the Venusaur to one more Sky Attack, which actually allows me to win the game with just 2 of my 3 Pokemon.